Deep inside the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, there is a room so radioactive that a single minute of exposure is a death sentence. The thing inside it is called the elephant's foot. And it will be deadly for the next 100,000 years. Deep inside the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, in the basement of reactor number 4, there is a room that no human being can enter and survive. The air itself is lethal. The walls are radioactive. And in the center of the room sits a mass of solidified nuclear material that scientists have named the elephant's foot. It is the most dangerous object on Earth. On April 26, 1986, reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded during a routine safety test. The explosion blew the 1,000-ton concrete lid off the reactor and released 400 times more radiation than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. It remains the worst nuclear disaster in history. When the reactor core melted down, the nuclear fuel, a mixture of uranium dioxide, its fission products, control rod material, and structural steel, liquefied at temperatures exceeding 2,000 degrees Celsius. This molten mass burned through the reactor floor and oozed downward into the basement like volcanic lava. Over several days, it flowed through pipes and doorways, melting everything it touched, before finally cooling and solidifying into a formation roughly 2 meters wide. Because of its wrinkled, dark surface and roughly cylindrical shape, the workers who first discovered it called it the elephant's foot. The elephant's foot was not found until December 1986, 8 months after the disaster. A team of scientists using a remote-controlled camera on a wheeled cart pushed it into the basement corridors beneath the reactor. When the camera's feed showed the mass sitting in the corner of the room, the scientists realized they were looking at something that had never existed before in human history, a man-made object so radioactive that it would remain lethal for 100,000 years. In 1986, the radiation level near the elephant's foot was measured at approximately 10,000 roentgens per hour. For context, a lethal dose of radiation for a human being is around 500 roentgens over 5 hours. Standing next to the elephant's foot for 30 seconds would cause dizziness and fatigue. 2 minutes would cause cell damage. 5 minutes would cause hemorrhaging. And within 48 hours, you would be dead. The first human to photograph the elephant's foot up close was a man named Artur Korniev. In 1996, 10 years after the disaster, Korniev entered the room with a flashlight and a camera rigged with a timer. The photograph he took, grainy, poorly lit, showing him standing in front of the foot with a strangely calm expression, became one of the most famous images in nuclear history. By 1996, the radiation had decreased significantly from its peak. But significantly is relative. The elephant's foot was still emitting enough radiation to kill a person with prolonged exposure. Korniev is reported to have entered the room multiple times over the years. He developed cataracts and other radiation-related health problems, but remarkably, as of the last public reports, he was still alive. The elephant's foot cannot be moved. It cannot be destroyed. It cannot be neutralized. There is no technology that exists today or is expected to exist in the foreseeable future that can render it safe. The only option has been to contain it. In 2016, a massive structure called the New Safe Confinement was slid over the remains of Reactor 4. It is the largest movable structure ever built, a steel arch 108 meters tall, 162 meters long, and weighing 36,000 tons. It was designed to last 100 years. The elephant's foot will be dangerous for 1,000 times longer than that. The containment structure is a temporary solution to a permanent problem. Future generations will need to build new containment structures, again and again, for thousands of years. They will need to maintain the knowledge of what is inside and why it must never be exposed. They will need to do this long after the Chernobyl disaster has passed from living memory into history, and from history into myth. The elephant's foot sits in the dark, in a room no one can enter, emitting radiation into the concrete and steel around it. It will outlast every building on Earth. It will outlast most of human civilization's recorded history. It is a monument to the moment when humanity split the atom and discovered that some things, once broken, cannot be put back together. If you found this fascinating, subscribe for more stories like this. We post new videos every week.